Fractal have been on an absolute tear recently. First the torrent, then the pop, then the north, and now the ridge. We're looking at the features, build process, pros, cons, everything in the Fractal Ridge. We'll also be doing some detailed tests on how best to set it up, as well as answering lots of smaller questions such as, does the Gen 3 riser reduce performance, or is it better in the horizontal mode or the vertical mode? It's a rather striking ITX case, and I think you'll love it. So, stay tuned, sunshine. As a lover of your mum for many years, I know as well as anyone how important it is to keep things fresh and exciting. The Fractal Ridge is a sleek, compact design. It's minimalist, very Scandi indeed. It really is a case for grown-ups and would look sick on a hardwood desk with some soft orange lighting. Oh, boom! Chef's kiss. It costs about £120, which is about the market rate for a good ITX case nowadays. But we've not even taken a case tour just yet. Just like your mum's Tinder profile, I like to make a full inspection before plunging in. Unboxing is as exciting as it sounds, in that it is boring. But in the box, you get the case, padding, and this accessory box. In this accessory box is a very nice user manual. You get all the screws you need, the riser pieces, and the stand. The case is innovative in that you can place it in a vertical or a horizontal position, meaning we can fit it in the tightest spaces, if you know what I mean. The Ridge can be disassembled to its bare skeleton. You take off the side panels with a single screw and a slide. The bottom panel, GPU panel, top panel, and PSU mount all come off with screws, so it's really important to keep track of all these screws. You're going to need them later when you put it back together. It's a two-chamber design, I mean, kind of. The motherboard and power supply go at the bottom portion here, and the video card goes up here. The fans from your video card face a different direction as opposed to the PSU and motherboard, meaning they each get a different air source. Pretty good design. The panels are hefty, they're very solid, and I'm loving the build quality so far. It's not as light as it looks, which is excellent for a vertical style system like this because it stops it toppling over as easily. Of course, in a case this compact, we need to be careful with clearances. ITX motherboards are of course the largest that you're going to be able to fit here. CPU cooler height is very limited. I just about squeezed this Thermalright AXP 120 in. I'll put the clearance up on screen, but it's vital to check with your own build. You could put a 2-fan liquid cooler in this case, but it means that you can't put a graphics card in, so not that useful for most people. But if it's just an office box, it's worth a thought, I suppose. Power supplies are limited to SFX or SFXL up to 130mm long, so again, check those clearances. There is an extension lead for the power supply which takes it to the back, so make sure when you install your power supply that it is flipped to the 1 position when you're building, otherwise you're not going to get any power. But here's the spicy bit. You can fit pretty chunky video cards in here. There's about 3 slots of thickness available and up to 335mm in length. In plain English, anything besides the highest end video cards will fit, and that includes many 4090s. The Ridge comes with a riser kit to make this work. It's a couple of right angle adapters. It's bespoke for the Ridge, so I've never seen this style before. It's a fairly elegant solution, however the drawback is that you're limited to PCIe Generation 3. What difference does that make? Well, I've done the testing, but you'll have to wait. That's coming up later in the video. The GPU section has 2 pre-installed 140mm fans, and we'll be testing how helpful these are later on as well. You can fit up to 4 2.5-inch SSDs in the Ridge, which is pretty cool, but my god, you're going to have fun cable managing 4 SSDs in here. It'll be an absolute nightmare. There's no room for 3.5-inch hard drives, which is fine by me in an ITX system. That's one of the things that can fall by the wayside. On the front panel, we've got 2 USB 3 ports. We've got a USB-C, we've got a combined headphone and mic jack, and we've got a power button. There's a little white power LED within the fabric front piece. These will, of course, all have the requisite cables for hooking up to your motherboard. So that's the feature set. I think it's time to put my money where my mouth is and actually build something in it. So let's go.
dear. I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn. Your pawn. Your pawn. My love wasn't ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. But I can promise that you'll never be the same. You can double down. I'll still be a proud haven for your love is never love. A river through your bluff, I will be enough, enough, enough. My love wasn't ever again. I lay my cards out on the table. There's nothing to gamble away, but I can promise that you'll never be the same. Something you can never take, but it's not uncommon to forsake. Got a chronic urge to complicate. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy. Feeling I have nothing left to hide. I'll say what you know it when it's right. Keep it simple now, living it before I die. Think of love like a friend, not an enemy.
The Fractal Ridge, it's like a cool lemonade on a hot day. Really, mwah, hits the spot. I've done loads of RGB laden builds recently, so it's a pleasure to assemble a sleek, refined PC without all the bling. What do you think? Comments below, please. Oh, I suppose you want my thoughts. Well, okay then. It's brilliant. The look is so aesthetic and clean. It's really a marvel in design. It's a tougher build than an ATX tower, but that's to be expected. Everything is smaller after all. I was really impressed with the modularity and options available. The build quality is remarkable. The only downside is that riser being PCIe Gen 3. Now, I mentioned we'd run some tests in that regard, so rather than keep you in suspenders, let's get to those tests. But first, a quick tip for you builders out there. Ensure you manually set the PCIe speed in the BIOS to Gen 3, else you'll end up with a horrible stuttery mess like this. Also, anyone on AMD AM4 platforms, I suggest you power on the assembled motherboard outside the case first, then manually set to Gen 3 in the BIOS before chucking it all in the case. That's because AM4 motherboards have this weird quirk when Gen 3 riser systems is used, so you sometimes get a black screen. You don't want that. Now, on to the tests. So as a rough and ready comparison, I'm using Heaven Benchmark. As we can see, the scores are so close, it's barely even worth thinking about. But what of an actual game? The closest system I have for comparison is a 4070 and Ryzen 5600 combo. So let's see the difference, and that difference is absolutely nothing. Gen 3 versus Gen 4 has made absolutely no difference in any of our tests. There may be a situation where you'd be able to find a significant difference, but it ain't in mainstream gaming, capiche? Now, something else I said at the start that I'd test for you is whether those pre-installed 140mm fans are worth leaving in or not. Not only that, I also said I would test vertical versus horizontal. That means we got an old-fashioned four-way. Not as exciting as the four-way I had with your mum last night, but here are the four configurations side by side. I suppose it's no surprise that the video card temperatures are way better with the two fans installed, and indeed both CPU and video card temperatures were much better when the PC was in the vertical position because, well, duh, there's more fresh air available. However, this has to be balanced with noise. Having those two extra fans was about the same noise level at full tilt, but it was a bit louder during idle state. In either event, I could not hear the PC over my headphones. Make of that what you will. Personally, I'd keep the 2 fans in there, but really dial back the fan speed with a custom curve in the BIOS. Something else to consider is that if you've gone with one of these bigger graphics cards, the chunky ones with 3 fans on it, you might not actually be able to fit these fans in there anyway, making the point completely moot. Now that we've established the best config, how about the rest of the gaming tests? Oh yes, sir. Here they are. Performance-wise, I am a happy camper. The 12400F can still keep up with the RTX 4070. I'd say the 12600K or 13600K would be better, but of course those run hotter and might be difficult to cool using a low-profile tower cooler. What do you think? I haven't actually tried it. I think this is a good compromise. The other bonus is that the 12400F is pretty low power, meaning that entry to mid-level boards like this ASRock B760 are a great choice with plenty of power behind that CPU. The only downside was no USB-C internal connector, so I used this USB-C to USB 2 header adapter. That way the front USB-C works, but sadly just at USB 2 speeds. The 4070 is also low power, meaning the 650 watt power supply is more than enough. The system looks great, has balanced performance and is certainly unique, but enough self-backslapping. What are your thoughts? Post them below. I think £120 is a little bit high for this case, but it's not extortionate and it reflects the high level design. People often see the price and think, oh, that's a bit high for actually what I'm getting. But remember, the R&D, tooling, all this stuff, they aren't free. Like and subscribe, my dear, for the night is dark and full of gigabyte power supplies. Until we meet again, I'm Concept Soup, and I'm out of here. Oh, by the way, my company, PC36, is selling this exact PC right now, so go check it out. Link below. Okay, bye, for real this time. See ya.